enjoy living out here. I don't really have any plans to leave, but I go to Portland so much and Vegas. I'd say like I'm in Portland and Vegas the most, but I still would rather have like a house and settle here in New Mexico.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest tonight. I've interviewed people from Pep Love, who everyone at Pep Love is wonderful. Every single woman I've ever spoken with, they've become friends, literally, of the show. I love Pep Love, and now this is a woman who is the executive liaison. Oh, we're going to talk about mutual masturbation. We're going to talk about phone sex, erotic dancing. We're going to talk about sexual freedom, and we're going to talk about how you deserve it. So please show utmost respect. Be humble. Be kind. Open your mind. Please welcome the magnificent Nina Rose. Say hello, Nina.
Hello,
How you doing?
hello, everybody. Oh, I'm so good. I am absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. I know I haven't been on since I think, a guest star in Pep in like 2019, 2020-ish. It's been a long time.
So, what's inspiring you these days?
These days, I think a lot of my inspiration is actually coming from our newest ladies of Pep, who you've had the pleasure of chatting with in the last few months. And so I think that they've been inspiring me to make every opportunity basically more meaningful and to make sure that it lasts. Like right now, I'm in a position where I just want like continuity.
Yes, continuity. So, executive liaison for Pep.
Yes.
What does that entail?
Well, I am basically in charge of a lot of shit. I do the hiring, I do customer relations, as in if you have any issues, you come to me, and then I take things to Sarah, the CEO and owner of Pep, as well as I handle a lot of the marketing and another huge chunk of just background wellness for all of the ladies.
So, your role as executive liaison,
Mhm.
there are certain qualities. I mean, Sarah gave you this job and you took this job because you have certain qualities. What would you say are the main qualities of a successful executive liaison to not just Pep Love,
Uh,
but any business?
Charisma. Charisma is a necessity because I do so much forward facing, conversational, work based things. Like, sorry, I always get brain dead as soon as I go live, and then I'm like, oh God, they can see me.
You're doing great. Stranger Unknown
Yeah,
actually asks, do you take the
yeah,
role of relationship counseling? We'll talk about that, but let's talk about executive
yeah.
liaison.
Yeah, as an executive liaison, it's really my role to make sure that our clientele are happy and that our ladies are heard and represented in meetings when Sarah and I have meetings. Mm. And so it's a lot of
Okay.
representation and a lot of knowledge. And I happen to be a mathlete, which is why I came up with the idea of well, Sarah came up with the name. Everything we do is like hand in hand. We're together
Okay.
all the time with this, but we offer this new program called an FOA, a flexible orgasm account, where you can put a deposit down with me and I monitor all of the spending for you. So it's like Findom with half of the commitment because I'm going to let you call other ladies.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's talk about that too. Um,
Yeah.
F flexible orgasm account, FOA.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
I bring Sarah about 500 ideas a week, and she'll bring me another 500 ideas. And then together, sometimes it means piecing two of our separate ideas together into one. Sometimes it means, I see her idea and then I just like expand it and blow up. So I couldn't tell you who was the first person to think of it, but it was definitely the both of us almost
That is
simultaneously.
awesome. One thing I love about the kink community is the sharing of ideas and the reason I'm doing this is to connect to other people, to feel connection. But creating something together as a team, especially like whether dominatrix is working for a dungeon, subs and doms working for a dungeon, just anybody. Mischief Manor, shout out to everybody at Mischief Manor. We have tons of events and stuff like that. But what I'm interested in is the daydreamers, the events that don't work. Are there any things or ideas that you two had for Pep Love that you're like, I don't know if we should do that?
I have this idea of like creating a referral process, as in it's time for you to tell your friends. But Sarah's
That's a
like,
great
no,
idea.
that goes against our entire platform of privacy. And I was like, you're right.
Oh yeah, I can see that too.
And so she's like, we're
I
supposed to
can
be private. Nobody should know. And I'm like, it's time to tell your friends.
Yeah, I mean, they are private, but there's a subtle, just like this show. I mean, I
Mhm.
promote it like crazy, but it's not on anything major. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be underground. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Uh, a referral program, I think, is a good idea, especially if it's secret.
It's a
Yeah, how
secret
you do
referral
a secret referral program? That's like,
Ah.
doesn't even
Yeah, and
make
then that's
sense.
the other thing. I only
Yeah,
came with like the raw idea. I came with no plan. And so I was like, you're
that's
right. Better
okay.
at.
You know what?
Mhm.
I think, you know, dealing with in the kink community and at the dungeon stuff like that, people come up with the wildest ideas, and as long as they're coming, it's the inspiration, in my opinion. That's what counts. As long as you're having an idea about something, you know,
I
as
agree.
opposed to just sitting there. All right. So, how did you meet Sarah Miles, the magnificent Sarah Miles? Tell us that.
The magnificent Sarah Miles. Well, it started in, I think, 2014 or so when I would go to her workshops and her classes. And then it kind of progressed. By 2017, we were at the same gym. And so we would go ahead and just like plan our workouts together. And we kind of built like this nice little friendship. And then I was dating one of the Pep ladies at the time. And it was around the time Sarah purchased it. So that's even in 2015. So I'm even going ahead of myself. So 2015, we were together. And then by 2017, I think that was when we started to develop like a closer, more in tune relation of like going out drinks and just being hot together and, all the fun stuff that hot girls do. And
Yeah.
then that turned into me working for Pep in 2019 and then being made executive liaison in 2023.
Now, I don't know if you remember anything about this, but I did a show for Sarah's retirement, and I had all the
Mhm.
ladies Pep come in, and I personally think that Sarah has like this thing called the old light. I call it. Everybody's got something that shines in them. You know, there's something
Mhm.
about her that she wants to help people. She's doing something good for you, and I want to make her remembered. I want to solidify this myth of Sarah Miles. So it's one thing I could talk her up like crazy, but
Mhm.
you can say something different.
I
What
can
is it
say
about?
it's
What
the
is
same thing.
of course, but what would you say about Sarah Miles specifically that makes her different and Pep Love different from any other just sex work?
I would say cultivation is what makes her different and patience because there are some people and even some roles in sex work that do not see the long con, that do not see the length of if you build it, they will come. And if you maintain it, they will stay. And I think that Sarah has been fantastic at maintaining, knowing what is going right, if something's going wrong, changing it, and then creating new opportunities as well. And so I think it's an even balance amongst all of those things that separate us, as well as Pep's origins definitely separate us because in the mid to late 80s, Pep was a hotline for the queer community essentially to kind of come out, so to speak. Like Nancy Ava Miller, who was the original founder, she was very fond and very, she found like submissive men felt like there was nowhere for them to go. And so
Yeah,
back then, sliding into the 90s, she turned around and was like, you know what? We need to charge. I think one of her friends told her to charge. And then that's how Pep Love turned into what Sarah was able to purchase and then maintain and grow, quite frankly.
that's awesome. That's all right. From the promotion that you're in charge of. Hmm. That's like it looks like one big kinky fuck fest. It looks like Pep Love is having one big kinky fuck fest, and that's wonderful. I know it's images and promotion and stuff like that, but all right, how accurate is this description?
Okay. I would describe that one as inaccurately accurate. It's more like a gossip pool of kinky fuckfestery because we all have our space and we all tangle and then we come back and we give each other a little digest. And so we know all of our sex lives. We watch all of our, mutual videos. We love getting the tea, the gossip. But almost very seldomly do we ever overlap with each other. I think we maintain so much business and so much rawness because we are putting on a performance every time that phone rings,
Yeah,
that the authenticity between us kind of like puts a little bit of a wall. Well, not for everybody, but a little bit of a wall of like professional, and
I
then
do think
we should
it
probably
shines
just fuck.
through. I really do
Yeah.
think, and I would like to shout out Giselle and Amy Marie
Hmm.
and Vivian.
Oh yeah, love them
Every
all.
woman at Pep Love is absolutely amazing. Let's get down
Hmm.
to business. You love masturbating with callers.
I do. I love masturbating in general. Like, if you want to be on the other line, then great. No point
So
in
she's a
wasting any of our times. But I'm
okay. Let's
also
just
a little fast because I can come in like 2 minutes, maybe three.
okay. So let me ask you this: what
Mhm.
professional orgasms? How
Okay.
many professional orgasms can you have in a day?
I feel like you could probably count a bucket of sand faster. Just the
Oh,
granules of
well, that's my own
sand.
heart.
Yeah, because like professionally, I might go like 2 to 5 times on a call, depending, like just an average 1 hour call, like
Really?
2 to 5 times, because one, you shouldn't brag, like you got to make it about the client, and two, just to kind of ride it all out and everything. But I would say with myself, just in a good day, probably like 10 to 15. And then if I have like a partner who knows what he's doing, like 40 to 50.
Wow.
Multiple orgasm is a gift, and I appreciate every drop of it.
Well, yeah, definitely. Now, how soon can you like go back? For example, my queen. I make her come daily. I make it.
Hmm.
It's my duty. And she can go and then almost immediately right back. She could be right back at it. So a lot of people are like that. They're kind of hypersexual and they could kind of reset immediately. Are you like that, or does it take time?
Ovulation week, I am like that because when I'm ovulating, like everything's just vibrating anyway, and so the rolls just keep on rolling in. And then outside of that week, it's kind of like sometimes I feel like I don't need to, like I've accomplished the mission. It's more like flushing a toilet or like cleaning out a pipe. It's just something I do every day, all the time. And so sometimes it feels like, all right, now I can get started. Like, if I'll be like a little tired, I was like, well, maybe if you just come, you'll perk up.
Do you get a point? Because what sexually kind of can set you off in a way? Are there certain things, like for example, with me, I see a woman in garter belts, a corset, a lingerie. It's my weakness. I'll admit it. Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
proud of it. I love it. But what's yours? What's the thing that can just like set you off any minute?
But that's the catch, is because I am asexual, it takes like I have to already be in a pretty sexual mood for anything to set me off. Because like nice shoulders and a good back on a man does get me really excited, but I don't play a lot in that fantasy realm. And so it ends up being like a lot of kinky things that I'm thinking about that start to just twist up in my brain. And a lot of that has to do with like the streaming sound of piss. Like that'll just be like, you know what you should do. And then
Really?
yeah.
Streaming sound of piss. Okay.
Mhm. Or even if
Yeah.
you can, like, if you go back to back right after somebody and you can still smell their piss in the air, like, it does something for me. Mhm.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
set the stage, right? The
Mhm.
the streaming sound. I'm gonna write that down. The
Okay.
piss. Right on it. All right. So let's set the stage. Someone calls you up. they're actually like, they know you have a relationship with you, and they want like a
Mhm.
session, a mutual
Mhm.
masturbation session.
Mhm.
You don't have to take us through it because this is, YouTube or whatever. But
Right.
this, how do you set the stage? And let the listener's imagination run wild after that.
Well, I absolutely love when a client sets the stage for me, and then I get to do all of the dialogue and all of the action. And so sometimes, if I'm the one setting the stage, then it really just depends on if I'm role playing as somebody different or as somebody myself. And I feel like most of the time, if it's going to be like a mutual masturbation session, then I definitely want them to kind of lay out all the toys they want to use. And then I'll tell them that, I have just my one toy because I only need just one. And we kind of I like to do body visualization. I love to use aromatherapy. And so while I have them gather their toys, I'll have them gather like their favorite perfume or something that smells good. Or a lot of my clients, they have like my perfumes so they can spray it around, or they've purchased my panties and they can like have those handy. Because I think aromatherapy and using your nose to turn you on when you only have somebody's voice, it helps like another
Without
level.
a
Like
doubt.
they can look at my picture, but if they only have my voice, being able to smell what I smell like really draws them in.
I'll tell you. So Sunshine, my queen right now, when we started out, she was like, I really like cologne. I like cologne. So I asked her what cologne. I did a survey of all the women, all the dominatrixes I know. I was like, what is the sexiest cologne? I really wanted it. And I got it. It was a Prada cologne. She like, according to her, that's what she liked. Yeah. So that changed everything. The fact
Mhm.
that I went and searched for this one thing shows a romance to it. You know what I mean? It shows initiative and actually that I care. But it really
Mhm.
does. It just odor, the smell, the olfactory
Mhm.
senses. They do everything. So the next question I have is,
Mhm.
um, what is what is the most common? People call you up for the mutual masturbation or just straight to phone sex, whatever. You have a variety of different topics and things, the role play sessions or whatever like that. But what is the most common? And the second part of this question, what is the most? And I say the word unique. You know what I mean. But,
Uh-huh.
but let's do what is the most common.
I would say the most common is sissification and forced oral. That's like the most common, I would say. And then the most unique, I probably can't say on YouTube.
Okay. Well let's talk about sissification real quick because that
Mhm.
plays a major role in my life.
Yes.
I love the sissification narrative. I do realize it's fantasy though. I don't live it.
Mhm.
I mean, do the thing.
If you could be
But
in the French maid outfit all day, I get it. I get
I know I was in a French maid outfit all day, and I was dying to take it off after I
it.
cleaned the house. Seriously, that's a total serious. So, but let me ask you this: when it comes to sissification throughout the years, has your attitude towards it changed?
It's gone back and forth. I feel like at one point in my life where I kind of just was shedding so many versions of myself, I couldn't keep up with it because it was starting to feel and almost look like um, not respecting women in so many ways and kind of like making fun of womanhood and bashing or just over sissifying. I mean, that's the whole point of it. But for a while there, that's kind of how I was feeling about it. But right now, I'm in a position where I just want my sissies to act like a fucking lady, and I want to put them through debutante style, like Southern Belle style, you're a lady training. Like, I want to get an aspirin and put it between their knees and tell them to walk up the stairs.
Yeah, yeah, totally. We had at Mischief Manor. Shout out to Cherry C Bombs at from the Conversations with Crossdressers podcast, and also Mr. Shari. We had a sissy charm school, and it was our first one. Next year we'll do another one with more people. But yeah, yeah, it wasn't like a big sex, like it wasn't a big cum fest or anything like that. It was how to eat properly, how to walk properly, how to talk
Yes.
properly, how to be respectful, and also the history of it as well. As someone
Mhm.
who likes the narrative, enjoys the narrative, all of my friends are women. I don't want to disrespect any woman at all. I don't respect womanhood. So
Mhm.
how can we, as someone who enjoys the fetish, either end of the fetish, so to speak, how can we kind of, or what's the question? Yeah, how can we explore sissification without degrading womanhood?
I feel like that's one of those per person, per experience kind of things. Because at the end of the
Yeah,
day, everybody will find a reason to be offended. And like, I
it's true.
realize like it's something I
It's
have to
true.
work through my own self and see like, am I pressed and bothered and offended by this, or am I confused by it because I don't know anything? And so,
Mhm.
in my opinion, both ends of the spectrum, it would just be including more knowledge in their conversation and not just letting their conversation be 100% feelings, but understanding some additional like facts or sciences about it.
And that goes to communication. Stranger Unknown says, "Do you take the role of relationship counseling?"
I do not, because I have terrible relationship advice, because I believe that you are single until you're married, and if you don't want to get married, then you will be single forever because that's how you file your taxes. And so I won't let my boyfriend stop me from
Yeah,
finding my husband.
right
I
on.
don't consider myself like poly or anything, but I just don't give good at relationship advice. I think I told my friend the other day to go to her ex's house, play You Ought to Know as loud as humanly possible until she no longer loves him, like out of her car in front of his house. And I'm like, maybe it'll be the 10th listen, maybe it'll be the 55th listen. I don't know, but play it until you don't love him anymore. And so I give bad relationship advice. So no, no counseling for me.
For that song, it'll be about 30 seconds. I'll be like, yeah, I don't like this song that much. I don't love you enough to listen to this song.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kidding. Nothing against Alanis Morissette. You go blow people in theaters.
There
It's
are some
great.
songs that you just gotta play and repeat until you don't love that person anymore. And
Yeah.
he did her
Yeah. Oh,
dirty,
yeah.
so
What's a great one? Cool Keith, I Don't Believe You. Look that one up. It's three
okay.
minutes, and
I
there's
don't
no
believe you.
the whole thing's the chorus. It's just him saying, "You think your dad's cool? I don't believe you. You're slapping everything. You're making all this money. I don't believe you. You know, you fly around the
I'm
world.
here
I don't
for it.
believe you." It'll make you laugh. It's good. It's worth it. All right, Collected Reader has another question since
Sure.
you're talking about a lot of stuff. Would any of your bad advice be cuckolding?
Yeah, probably. Probably similar. I don't actually consider cuckolding bad advice, but I think, like, if he's not having sex with you, maybe you should show him what you want by using another man. And then maybe you
Yeah.
should see if he's gay while you're at it and see if he wants to put that dick in his mouth.
Well, okay. What about? I'm sure you get people, and I could totally imagine me doing that if I called. Just yes, I would want to, I guess, get off and anything like that. But it's also the connection of a lot of people who would call Pep Love. They're dealing with some internal things. You know what I mean? So, and they want to talk. Do you get a lot of that? A lot of people just kind of just want to talk.
I feel like I don't, but I do know that there's a lot of ladies that they have that kind of relationship with their clientele where they just want to kind of let it out and just chit chat about things. I feel like for me, it's because we came too soon, or it's like not really something that they know if they want to talk to me about. Like right
Mm.
now, the ladies have been complaining about people talking politics, and I naturally play dumb. I play as dumb as rocks, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what's that? What is
What are
that?" The
politics?
whole time.
What's government?
Yeah, pretty
I don't
much, pretty
know.
much. And then I was like,
God.
"Is that like the Bill of Rights?" And they're like, "No, honey, this is the Constitution."
That's funny. So okay, that brings up to another question now. So
Mhm,
um, Pet Love does have I wouldn't say political motivation, but you have your own ideas. I actually share them. I've talked to everyone at Pep Love, and we're pretty much on the same page and stuff like that. But you're out in the open in public. What happens when you guys when you get a call and all they want to talk about is something like that? I'll give you a perfect example before you answer.
mhm.
Mr. Shari, a very good friend of mine. She had a client. She's a dominatrix. She has a client. Paid hundreds, not just 100, hundreds, like several hundreds for 1 hour. And all he wanted to do was talk about Trump. And it's because no
Well,
one listens to him.
yeah.
No one, because people babble, and they're so good. And I'm not going to choose a side on for this show, but a lot of the people, when they're not religious, but like political kind of zealots, they're very easy to tune out, and no one's listening to him. So he had to pay hundreds, a lot of money too, not just like a little, just for, and still at the end, he was like, he wanted more, and she just, I can't take it. You can't pay me enough to deal with this. So
I
how do
play
you deal?
really dumb.
How,
I play really, really dumb, but then I happen to actually be pretend smart, like I'm the executive liaison for a reason, but I do so much playing where I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. And do you think that's going to affect you personally? I didn't realize you were in that tax bracket to, be able to appreciate those tax cuts. That's
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, that's another thing. Bring up money and how much money they're making and how impressed you are how much they spend it on you. It's great. We have a
Oh,
question
yes.
from Mike. Oh, Mike, welcome back. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Hi, Nick. Long time. Hi, Nina Rose. Regarding ball busting, do you like sacking guys in the nuts? And if so, do you like to use boots, heels, or barefoot when sacking a guy in the nutsack?
I don't care for it. It's not a highlighted thing I do. I would
Okay.
assume that I would want to do it barefoot though.
Ah,
But if I really didn't like the motherfucker, maybe a pair of Tims.
all right. So, what are doing phone sex? As sex work, there are challenges, and there's prejudice. They're judgmental assholes. Oh, I want to say this. I usually say this before the show. Everything we talk about is consensual. This is for adults, consensual adults. We are consenting adults talking about sex.
Mhm. Mhm.
Don't judge. Judge
Right.
Judging people is unattractive. No one wants to fuck you. Back to the show. So, Collective Readers asks, do you prefer being sadistic?
No, I'm more masochistic, and I kind of
Okay.
like the line of like sadomasochism,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah,
I
me
want to
too.
just go back and forth
Yeah, I'm a
with
switch
both
myself.
sides of it. Yeah.
I feel this way. I feel honored just to be sexual with anybody. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's like, okay, you want masochism? Okay, great. You want to be sadism? Fine, that's cool too. It's all
Mhm.
sex to me. I'm
Mhm.
40, so that's okay. What are misconceptions of phone sex? What are some of the misconceptions?
I think the misconceptions is that the operator isn't the visual presentation of the like person. So at Pep, we use all of our real own photos. We do little to no editing of those photos, and we try to be as authentic as possible. But one of the biggest misconceptions is this really you in the picture? And oh wow, you look so nice. Is that real? Can you send me a picture right now? And I think that's a huge misconception. And then the next one is that we aren't necessarily like the way the training misconnects. So like so many people think that they can shock and scare and intimidate us, but we are all so well trained. I'd like to say, being both, me and Sarah be training everybody, but we're
Mm.
so well trained to this point where like you can't say anything that's really gonna shock us and awe us, even though people
So,
want to.
do you get a lot of do you get a lot of edge lords? Like, oh, I've been through stuff, and they try to say things that are specifically shocking just to make themselves feel better, I guess, or edgier, or some
Yeah, and I
shit.
egg them
What's an
on.
example of that?
I egg them on. I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy. This is the most wildest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You got aroused getting a haircut? Wow.
That's good. All right, let's get the taboo topics.
Yeah.
Right, this is non-taboo phone sex. So, just as an example, what are some of these taboo topics or these non-taboo topics that are just non-taboo at Pep Love?
Well, some taboo ones. That I especially love would definitely be anything ancestral, family based. Like, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, so I'm fine whichever way we want to put the family together. That's totally cool. I would also say that even though it doesn't seem taboo, but all of the toilet stuff, you can't talk about anything toilet anywhere else except for with us. And so I find that to be very interesting.
That is interesting. Now, what is it about? Like you were saying, to quote, what's it? When I'm no, if you no, oh my god, a streaming sound of piss. The streaming sound of
Yeah.
piss. So it's not just the sound; it's the act and the symbolism of the act.
Mhm.
So why do you think? And I could be wrong, but do you think because people can't or don't talk about it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as with such comfort, Pep Love, do you think it kind of enhances the whole fetish and kink because Pep Love offers that?
I would say yes, because I feel like all of our clients might not ask for it, but all of our clients are excited when it happens, and I think that that's something to note.
Yeah.
And some may not even be ready to share it, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna pee. Do you want to listen? Yes, mistress, please.
What are what are some creative things you could do with piss play?
Well, you can piss all over your submissive and then make them brush it into their hair so they can smell you all day. And then you can, oh, there's really just there. It's like a never-ending list of opportunities from appreciation to cleaning up to playing in a puddle,
Oh, you can have a little
focusing
pool.
on yourself. Yeah.
You know what I noticed? Because I play with Chastity and then my queen. You know, we Chastity play. It's not 24/7, but we do it. It's very difficult to piss in a metal chastity device to make it
Is
sure
it
it's
now?
clean. Make sure I spend like a while just like standing up, moving, like leaning a certain way, pointing a certain, making sure because I don't want to dribble all over my panties, which I'm
Right.
forced to wear. Also, you know, Stan Vladimir comes with the question, the Stan question:
Hmm.
if you could have any superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it in your kinky life?
Well, this is one of the questions you were supposed to ask me, and so I'm ready. I would be invisible, and I would hang out in bathrooms all day. No. It all goes along. But I do
You and
think
the go
the
like
amount of
Michael.
voyeurism, yeah, the amount of voyeurism I would get away with if I could just be invisible all the time. And I'm fine if I have to like be completely naked to be invisible. That's fine. But that would be my superpower. And I would just watch. I'm a people watcher. I'm very quiet and I can watch anything for a very long period of time. So
I
I'd
find it
be the
fascinating.
fly in a room.
I'm the same way. I find it fascinating and inspiring to watch people, especially that's why I love porn. And like you look on my Twitter feed and stuff like that, and I see all these people, I get inspired you know, to do things in my kinky life. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. A lot of it's like, oh, I want to do that, and there's no way I'm capable of doing that because it's like in France and there's tons of money involved or whatever. But you know,
Hmm.
but it gives me an idea of what can I do with what I
Yeah.
have to do that. You know, do something similar or something like that. So I'm a huge voyeur. I love it. Even when I'm just in a doctor's office or in a
Yeah.
supermarket, just watching people, just looking what the decisions that they make. Why are you buying that?
Hmm.
All right. So, mommy, daddy, one of the topics I don't know if you deal with it, but race play comes into is a topic that even in dungeons, right? It's not something that is talked about and expressed.
Hmm.
Is that something you ever deal with at Pep Love?
I do, but for me, I feel like race play is similar to just like racially charged jokes, and either you're going to enjoy it every single bit
Yeah.
because it was performed properly, or you're going to hate it because it feels too much like cultural appropriation instead of cultural appreciation. Like, I would love to dress up like a geisha and, sell myself off. But is it appreciating or is it appropriating?
Yeah, I totally understand that, and that makes me struggle with the sissification aspect. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I love women. I don't want to take or degrade womanhood or make them. That's why when I do it, if I ever exercise, it's the humiliation aspect's not part of it. It's
Fair.
more of a, yeah, it's more of a loving, kind thing, or a control thing. You can't control
Mhm.
yourself in those panties, can you? So that means we have to lock you up, and I have to control you
Mhm.
with the key. You know what I mean? So that's interesting. Well, as a black woman, do you feel fetishized ever?
I have been. I mean, I worked
And
in
how does that
the
make you
clubs all
feel?
over the US forever.
Yeah, as an exotic
Um,
dancer, how does that
yeah.
make you feel? Does anyone ask you how that makes you feel?
I don't like feelings that much. And so I feel like if I was paid, then I was happy. And if I was unpaid, then I was probably unhappy.
No, okay,
Hmm.
definitely. Now, speaking of taboo, consensual rape play, consent, non-consent,
Hmm.
also goes with the forced buy narrative. We'll talk about that
Hmm.
too in a second. But do you get? I remember watching Girl Six, by Spike Lee movie, Girl Six, and there's
Hmm.
this one. I think it's played by Michael Imperioli, where he's kind of stalking the woman on the phone, and it gets very scary. It gets very dangerous. How do you do you first of all, do you get consensual rape phone calls? All right.
Yeah, I do.
How do you keep them consensual, basically?
I call it like the consent sandwich, basically, where I start the conversation with, okay, let's plan our fantasy and recognize that everything that's about to happen is for real. And then when I feel like the scene is over, then I end the fantasy saying, okay, thank you for the fantasy. Everything is back into this world and out of that world. And by putting it in a little sandwich like that, it usually helps.
The consent sandwich. I'm gonna put that in the summary. The
Yeah.
consent sandwich. I like that. The consent sandwich. That's something that I think that we should in the kink community in general, we should adopt. Okay.
Mhm.
Um
You can make it
all
Big
right.
Mac style and put an extra little patty in there. Check one more time in the middle.
So how do you personally deal, or how do the ladies at Pep deal with scary calls when it comes to, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be not just the rape play calls, but there's gonna be a call that's gonna be it's gonna not sit well with them. It's gonna give them anxiety. It's gonna make them feel in danger in some way. How do you deal with that?
Well, we encourage all the ladies to come talk to me because I have a lot of counseling and wellness aspects. And then we always want them to talk with Sarah too, because there's a good chance that she knows the client and she knows when the client is being edged on or when he's, lying and messing around. And so it's important for them to come to our exec team. And then I myself, I handle everything in the same way I always do because I believe that I'm God's favorite and bad things have already happened to me and no more bad things can happen to me.
Right on. All right.
Yeah, and
Um,
so I'm pretty good at like not being anxious or not losing myself in those positions because for me it's literally just in and out, in and out.
yeah. No, I know exactly what I do. And dealing with people, the more you deal with people, or any kind of aggressive people, you kind of know, you see the signs.
Hmm.
And you can kind of think like a chess game. You could think a couple moves ahead and make sure that they don't make them have a move to make, basically.
Hmm. And I mean,
Yeah.
being a dancer too, there would be a time where like one customer will come on me and then I have to go clean up and I can't have that attitude and that, dismay and that lack of trust when I go talk to the next person because then I'm going to lose out on money and I'm not going to have those opportunities. And so that's the other reason why I pretty much lock it down. And I realize that every one person can only have a single interaction with you and you shouldn't assume all interactions will be like the one.
Yeah. As an erotic dancer, I want to talk about that a little bit. First of all, I know you get this question anytime anyone says you're an erotic dancer. What advice would you give to somebody? I know a lot of women who want to kind of take that route, or interested in that route, or think they could do it, or whatever.
Um,
And it's a lot different than people know.
I feel like they should know the why they want to do it. And if they don't have an answer to why, you could ask yourself why 700 times. You'd be like, I want money. That's not a good enough reason, because if you go in there and you don't make money your first 2 weeks, then you never want to do it again. And then if you ask why, and the answer is, I think I'm sexy and I think I should get paid for being sexy. And I'm like, okay, we can train that. We can teach you how to dance. We can teach you how to move, how to, take money, how to, flirt. And so I feel like if you don't know why you're going to do it, or if the reason why isn't solid enough, because you have to ask, like, after the why, it's the what happens if you succeed and what happens if you fail. And so if you
Mm.
succeed, you're like, okay, I want to make money. Well, if you succeed, then what happens after that? And they don't have an answer after that. Or they just think, oh, well, I'll just keep on doing it. And then if you fail, what will you do after that? And they don't have an answer for that either. And so I feel
So
like just asking yourself questions.
that's no, excellent advice. Excellent advice. Um, and I'm sure you've had some lessons yourself that you've learned. So, what are some in erotic dancing in the culture in the world that it is? What is a hard lesson that you've learned, or that you've seen someone that I think maybe the story should be told so it doesn't happen to someone else?
Oh, let's see. I feel like every person needs to be individualized, but you shouldn't end anything. Like, never be like, thank you, goodbye, when you're discussing something with a client. Because if they stick around in the club, then you can go back to them 3, 4, 5 different times and be like, are you ready for some more? Are you ready for some more? And I feel like that gets misguided, especially right now in my city. We're kind of overrun with just like women who don't understand the culture. And as a result of that, they are pissing customers off and making it so that they don't want to stick around. And they are scamming the customers so they don't feel comfortable spending their money there anymore. And I think when you use those two aspects, you're not elongating the customer's life, basically. Like, you
Mm.
want him to keep the money rolling, you want to keep the positivity. Like, I know, like, I have clients who are millionaires whose cards will be turned off because they spent too much money for the day. Like, and
Oh
if
yeah.
I yell at them, cuss them out, treat them poorly, then I'm not going to get it when their money resets in 24 hours. And so I think it's really important to not, like, make everything end.
Have you seen the movie Hustlers with Jennifer Lopez?
Oh yeah, me and all the stripper girlies who went in our heels to go see it.
I don't- so financial domination, FOA, flexible orgasm account. All right, get that money. You are a kinky flirt. You are a kinky flirt
Yes.
extraordinaire. Okay, let's talk about this because I love flirting. I do. I really
Mhm.
do. It's that's some even if it's totally innocent. I really truly I feel it makes me feel alive. I'm sure it
Mhm.
makes another person feel alive. So, um, what makes somebody a gifted flirt?
Well, the amount of eye contact and the amount of physical touch. Like, if you can't touch and you can't stare at somebody, then you'll have to be good at, like, throwing the tone of your voice around. But in my experience, like, the right amount of eye contact, a little wink in the middle, and then always touching anywhere I can. And then, of course, I like laugh with my boobs, and that's really skillful because not everybody can laugh with their boobs. And just be like, ha ha ha, you're so funny. Ha 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 ha. Oh my God, I love when you talk to me like that.
See, I'm the only person running the show, so I'm like running for the screen just to make sure you get your laughing boobs on this camera.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So,
need a screen
for
switcher.
old time's sake, just one more time.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, and everybody should thank Nina Rose for her laughing, wonderful, magnificent laughing boobs. Thank you very much.
Mhm, mhm.
Flirtation. So when does flirting go wrong? I'm sure you have some stories when flirting goes wrong. Can you please tell us?
I'm a grade A flirtatious person. That's not.
I'm sure you have some stories of other people flirting go wrong. You don't have to mention names. What's the
Mm,
worst? What's a mistake? What's a common mistake people make when flirting?
they don't know that they're flirting or being flirted with. That's like the most common mistake. And then I feel like they try too hard. Like if you try too hard to flirt, it might not work. I like it when they try too hard. Like, tell me a cheesy punchline. I'm giving you my phone number. Let's go. But sometimes they just miss their mark, and then that gets to be pretty non-flirtatious.
All right. All right. Lifestyle. You're a sexual person. You're very open minded. You're a kinky person. You'd say you work for Pep Love. What you say on the phone is a lot different than real life, and I don't want to give too many details or anything like that. But how would you describe yourself? Like when you're
And
putting out your
in real
FetLife page,
life,
it says like in your FetLife page, some people say it's dominant, you're submissive, a switch, a sissy, a master, a dom, whatever. How would you describe yourself?
in real life, I am a cross between a brat and a princess. And I say princess really loosely because I'm in my princess era right now where I want that and then I get it. And so it's like a different type of dominatrix kind of feeling. Maybe it's what femdom wants to be, but it's like being the princess doesn't mean that you're the submissive, but at the same time, it's a switching position because
Yeah,
you get spoiled basically. And then
if you
being a
think about it,
brat, you get
a,
spanked.
yeah, a princess does have a kingdom that they are going to inherit. So there is
Mhm.
that. Um, all right, let's get into it. Pegging. Why are
Ooh.
men so obsessed with their own assholes? This is the Kate West question,
I
by the way.
would guess that it's because they have had one friend their whole life, and then they realize if they touch that friend, then maybe they should touch the other friend. You know, it's like you have one toy. Like men are literally born with a toy in their lap. So it's
Yeah,
only a matter of time before they'll be like, "Oh, there's a button inside."
I'm Saint Nick.
Exactly.
All right, that's good. Chastity.
Mhm.
Do you get people calling up asking for chastity play?
No. I think
You
it's
don't
because I'm
really get
just
that?
ready to come right then and there, and so we're all ready.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, we have Sunshine saying,
Oh, hello,
"Good evening,
sunshine.
Nina Rose. You are very intelligent, well spoken. Of course, you are also absolutely gorgeous."
Thank you.
Um, all right, we did the stand question. Now, all
Yeah.
right, Nina,
Mhm.
your whole your whole career, well, not career, this your whole job basically deals with fantasy, right?
Mhm.
Let's fantasize
Right.
for a second. You and I,
Mhm.
right? Let's say
Mhm.
you have endless resources. You can go
Mhm.
anywhere in the world. You can do
Mhm.
anything you want with anybody you want. What
Mhm.
is your ultimate kinky fantasy?
Um, I feel like I get to fulfill most of my fantasies to where it's more of a when are we going rather than a if we ever get to go. And it's actually nice because at Pep Love on my portfolio under links, I have a story called Nina Naked in the Woods or just Naked in the Woods. And that's kind of the fantasy that I love to play into, which is a consensual non-consent scene where I'm just camping and naked in the woods. So I guess if the fantasy was bigger, which I've already done it, and so that's why I'm like, it's great, I love it. But if the fantasy was bigger, then it would just be like owning enough land that I could let a community of people who like to be naked outdoors kind of all play together.
Nice. Now, the king rabbit hole goes deep. I've had wild fantasies that I thought would never come true. Literally on my deathbed, like, well, before surgery, I thought it was my deathbed. So technically it was on my deathbed. I had and I'm living the fantasy right now. I really
Mhm.
am. Maybe the fear of death
I
ignited
do
me
believe
to,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
near-death
Well,
experiences open us up to more
but
opportunities.
I was living this life even before that, and that's awesome. But the kink rabbit hole goes deep. So is there anything kind of new and interesting that's kind of piquing your interest that you don't have any experience with at all, but it's just kind of like, hey, that sounds interesting?
Hmm. No, but I think I could share that what I've been doing lately is like tantric sex and more energy moving sex. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that opportunity to dive into that and to enjoy those um, moments where it's just like the energy is so high and cosmic that you don't know what's what anymore, where you start and where the other person ends. Like, I think that's kind of my happy place right now.
Yeah, no, I get that as well. I'm getting more into it as well. I was always interested into it, but I never experienced it, and it does interest me as well. That's
Mhm.
awesome. That's wonderful. It's so good to see you. Okay, let's get on with the questions. All right, we did the ultimate kinky fancy rapid fire recommendations,
Okay.
and they don't have to be kink related. They can be though.
Okay. Hmm.
They always end up somehow. All right, recommend recommend a film.
I don't watch TV. I don't.
Or,
I
a
don't watch
movie.
TV.
Any
I'm so
movie?
sorry. No. I'm trying to even think of like a kinky, fun movie that I like a lot. And I don't. I mostly just listen to music in my day to day. I almost
All
never
right,
like
recommend a
let the
song.
TV play. A song, okay, Breathe by Neo always hits really, really good because it's a lot of like choking fantasies, and I love that for myself. And it's a good
What
song. It's just sexy.
music plays a huge part of my life. I love music. I've my whole life I've been interviewing musicians, all kinds stuff like that. Before this show, I was playing some music. I was playing Jay Dilla's
Mhm.
Donuts. He's a hip hop producer. He passed away. Amazing album. He made that album on his deathbed. All
Hmm.
his instrumental hip hop beats, and what that does for me, at least, it gives me a sense of passion in life, but also it gets me energy to do the show. Is there anything that you listen to get you in the mood to do a call?
I really am a huge Kanye West fan, and that always gets me in a good mood to do a call. And then TV show, actually, if I watch Game of Thrones, because I actually just that's the only show I turn on, that usually gets me in the mood for a call and gets
What
my
was
brain
your
right.
What was your opinion of House of the Dragon?
I like it a lot. It's good. I'm
I
interested to see
didn't
what's
finish it.
next.
I
Oh,
like
I've
Game of
watched it like
Thrones.
6 times, friend. What are you doing?
I watched Game of Thrones. I like that's a huge metaphor for sex, in my opinion. The
It
Queen of the
is.
Dragons. I mean, I love the character arc of a woman becoming herself and becoming powerful. I mean, I am into
Mhm.
femdom, so I mean,
Mhm.
you're good.
Mhm.
All right, DL Joey has the question of the evening.
Yeah.
Any experience with diaper lovers?
I have experience with them, and I love me a diaper lover, and I love playing mommy to a little diaper lover, whether it's a mommy that wants to help you change your diaper or if it's a mommy that needs to spank you for wetting your diaper. I do like a little diaper play, yeah. Actually, I just found one of my diapers today because I was going through some boxes, and I was like, "Oh, look, a diaper."
When it comes to diaper play, ABDL stuff like that, there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of it's considered taboo in many ways. Just like the scat play, you can't find it anywhere, even in just regular kink circles.
Mhm.
Um, so how do you approach that as opposed to other kinks and fetishes?
I feel like I multiply what's brought to me. And so if somebody brings me this one little idea of wetting themselves in a diaper, then I want to maximize that idea to its highest potential. And so much of my energy is actually just like digesting and then returning tenfold. And I feel like I almost never have to draw anything from my own energy because it's so much more fun for me to play along with them because I feel like in my own sexual life, a lot of things I just wouldn't be into or I'm not into at all. But hearing it and then being able to maximize it and really dive as deep as I can into it, then I'm able to really enjoy myself.
And I would imagine, working at Pep Love or just being any kind of sex worker opens your mind to a new thing and there are things that I never thought I'd be into. And because of, the love of a woman, it's like, you know what, I can get into that now. I
Mhm.
get it. I get it now. So I guess the lesson of this is to talk with people,
Mhm.
right? You'd be
Yeah.
surprised where how you could heal each other. Talk with
Mhm.
people. Kink helps kink. Rook 3 says, caring mommy or strict mother.
I'm both, and I could be both at the same time where you can't tell if mommy's about to hug you or slap you across the face. And I also feel like um, depending on what the sub needs is kind of where I'm going to go with it. And I'm actually a holistic healer. Like I have my Reiki master and several certifications and other holistic healing aspects. And so if I'm listening to somebody's brain and really be able to just like ungather all of their chaos and kind of organize it into this great opportunity, then I'm going to take that opportunity. And some of my clients, they need a harsh, strict mother that's smoking a cigarette and yelling at them. And other bits of my clients, they just need to lay on mommy's boobies until they feel better. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Talking about energy, Reiki, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Holistic healing medicine, holistic medicine. A lot of pushback gets that it's all fake, it's bullshit, blah blah blah. Blah. What's your reaction to that? To people who do that?
Um, that your brain is what makes anything real or fake. And so if you
Yeah.
believe that pharmaceuticals will save your life, then pharmaceuticals will save your life. And if you believe that, drinking this weird herbal tea every day and, enjoying your lemmy purrs is going to work, then it's going to work.
Yeah.
But you
I
can,
mean,
like,
look at it this
yeah.
way: kink, right? I'm kinky every day in some way, shape, or form. It's safe, it's sane, and consensual. That
Hmm.
works for me. That's my brain is dealing with that. Doesn't work for everybody else, but it works for
Right,
me.
right, right.
It's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it. All right, let's wrap it up here. But wanna play deflowering? I'll be the virgin. That's what you wrote.
Yeah.
So how quickly can you switch?
I'm pretty good for a quick switch. Give me like 5 minutes. And by
Yeah.
that, I mean, I just need the other person to talk for like 5 minutes and then I can
Yeah.
switch out wholly into the next role. And I
I'm
actually
the same
love
way.
virginity playing. That's one of my favorites to just, even if it's
Virginity.
back to them, they're like, I've never had anything back there before. And I was like, well, let's fucking do it.
All right, so let's talk about virginity play for a while. Obviously,
Mhm.
this is consensual. We are all adults, and I mean, I'm not really going to be pimped out and be spit roasted every night in a dungeon. You know, it's just, but when it's said in my ear, sometimes that can get me hard.
Right, right.
So, all right, where was I
We were
going with
talking
this?
about virginity, maybe, or
Virginity, yes, virginity. All right, let's write this. Virginity. I'm going to write this so it's on
uh-huh.
virginity play. So let's talk about virginity play. What
Um,
is the, just tell
so
us
I
about it.
feel
How do you?
like there's two aspects of virginity play. There's, of course, like the younger aspect of just like um, being young, and then the older religious aspect of like being pure. And so I think being able to balance out both of those is what makes virginity play a lot of fun. It's also fun to start tying in, yeah, like different religious kinks as well as different what's it called? Kinks. Oh, the word totally slipped my mind. It's gone now, but
Well, I mean,
religious kinks and
it's
something
the
else.
it's the I guess it's
Oh,
the
breeding,
forever
breeding
boy.
kinks. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that is a kink. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
um, becoming who cows and stuff like that, and being bred and all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. Do
Mhm.
you? What are the certain things you say though? I would imagine it's stuff like you're tainted forever or something along those lines.
Mhm.
Like it's
Mhm.
you're so going back now. This is it. This is your life now. You're a
Yeah.
whore. So, so like, what do you say in virginity play?
Sometimes if the virginity play is I'm breaking free and I can't believe that I'm 19 years old and still a virgin, and I just want to, get this thing over with, and then the person who's, taking it isn't as kind, and they're more like, tell me how much of this and that. And then it has a little bit to do with the blood, but like, YouTube. I also really like to include a lot of like tightness and wetness in the conversation, because it is so, that's kind of the pleasurable part of this whole virginity idea.
Okay, we're gonna do a game now. It's called overrated, underrated. All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the game. It's a very easy game. 3 things. All right. I'm gonna say something like virginity play. We're gonna put it on the screen, and you say the first thing that comes into your mind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then say if it's overrated or underrated in your
Okay.
personal opinion and why.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's different. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. So virginity play, overrated or underrated?
I'm gonna go with underrated,
Why?
because I also like to make people virgins again, and I think that that's fun too. Because if I say you're a virgin again, then damn it, you're a virgin again.
Rope, underrated or overrated?
I'm gonna go with overrated, because it is not utilized as well as it could/should be.
Okay. Then we got French maid outfits, or just Stan, I'll get to you. Don't worry. French maid.
It is underrated. I think that they need to sell more French-made costumes, quite frankly. I don't feel like I don't have enough in my life.
You know what you need? You need a sissy
Hmm.
maid to clean your house. A loyal, good, obedient, but also useful. One who shows up and actually does the job well. I think that you
Hmm.
need a sissy maid in your house, Nina.
I
What are
mean,
you
I
doing Friday?
might. I mean, I'm like, I might beat the sissy maid's ass if they don't clean to my standard, though.
Yeah. No, my ass is already beaten. I'm locked. But thank you. So where did that conversation go to?
You do a
Anyway,
great job. What am I talking about?
I would do a wonderful job for you. I would.
Mhm.
I would put everything I have, and I would only hope it would be good enough. I do have
Mhm.
references. Corsets, overrated or underrated?
Overrated. I think that it's actually really, really bad for your uterus, and um, it's not. It's kind of just like a moment, and you spend so much more time uncomfortable than comfortable, and so I feel like you can be free of those.
Medical play. Stan Vladimir comes in. Medical play, overrated or
That's
underrated?
underrated. I feel like I could always do more in medical play, and I feel like there's just so many layers of medical play and so many opportunities within the concept of like, give me a scrub in a twin size bed. Woo!
Yeah. All right. Face slapping, overrated or underrated?
I'm gonna call it underrated, because I actually only had like my first experiences with it in the last like year or so, and it's pretty hot. It's a really good time, but I feel like prior to that, it seems very aggressive in my perspective. Sorry.
Yeah. Then we got Stan Vladimir. Latex, overrated, underrated.
I'm gonna say overrated, but it's because I'm allergic to latex, and so I just don't get it.
Okay. Splashing, overrated or underrated?
I don't know what splashing is.
Splashing, splashing is when you take something usually very sticky or like food, basically. A lot of desserts, pies, puddings, stuff
Mhm.
like that, and you put it all over your body, or you put it over someone else's body, and you sometimes
Ooh.
licking and sucking. For example, I'll give you a great example of splashing. This is not your
Mhm.
normal example, though. I do it well. So,
Mhm.
Sunshine, my queen, knows I love tres leches, and we only have a little bit of tres leches left. So she goes, Nicholas, come upstairs. So I go upstairs, and I see, as I walk up the stairs, I see the tres leches on the floor and her feet right in front of it. So boom, her feet go right, and I had to lick off. I had to get on my hands and knees and lick off all the tres leches off every single toe to make sure that her toes are clean. But also, I love tres leches. I really do. It's my
Seems like
favorite
a
dishes.
win-win, yeah.
Right? So,
Um,
what's your opinion of splashing?
if that's what splashing is, then I feel like it is underrated because it's not overrated. It's a good time, but I didn't know what it was.
That's it. That's not some people. A lot of splashing, like the pools, like sometimes there's pies and like pudding and just like it gets really
I
really
used to
messy.
sit on cakes. That's
Oh, there you
splashing,
go.
right? Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I
word.
like
That's it. How did sitting on cakes make you feel, Nina?
that. Like dessert. And
Yeah. Okay. That's a great description. How does it make you feel? I felt like dessert. That's awesome. Okay. Stan Vladimir. Blood play. Overrated or underrated?
underrated. And I think we need to have more opportunities to play. And I think it is taboo categorically. So I think that the more opportunities we have, because also women bleed every 28 days with the moon. So I feel like it's an underrated enjoyment.
Pegging. Overrated or underrated?
Um, Overrated, but I think it's just because I'm personally burned out because I just don't. It's not sexy for me. I'm like, I don't want to strap. I don't want to.
Sunshine says, I love to watch you two flirt.
Oh,
And
thank you,
so
sunshine.
that inspires this next one.
Mhm.
Cuckolding. What's your opinion of overrated or underrated?
Um, Underrated. I feel like I love cuckolding, and I feel like it should be enjoyed more. It's probably enjoyed just the right amount, but I don't want to say underrated, or
Yeah.
I don't want to say overrated because I think it's good. Like we need more.
Okay. We're wrapping up, but I do have just a couple questions. Platforms.
Sure.
There are people who get burnt out. You said you're getting burnt out on pegging,
Yeah.
right? So never thought I'd get burnt out on pegging, but okay, yeah. That's a new one for this one for your kinky
Hmm.
friends. I've interviewed people all over the world. Usually, people are trying to peg more.
I know. I feel like, I did it a couple times and I was just like, this isn't doing anything for me. Like, I don't know.
All
I
right,
have like hyper feminine vibes. And so I guess when I get to strap on, I'm just not feeling it. I'm like, it's not my dick. I
everyone's
don't know.
different. It's not something I do every day. It's not
Yeah.
like everything in moderation. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
All right,
Makes
so
sense.
people get burned out. We're talking burnout. I have a very good friend of mine who in the UK had a very strong massive presence. I have a very good friend of mine who I don't want to mention, who's been on the show many times, is really mellowing out. It's just not going to leave the kink community for a while. You know what I mean? Do you have you ever gotten that way? And what made you keep going?
I was that way actually. I had just like some bad relationships that put a lot of distance between me and the kink community. And then the local kink community totally went under. And like the little like micro community that sprouted up, it isn't my kink at all. And so I feel like I'm right there right now. I feel like so much of my life is vanilla or vanilla based, and I really only get like a weekend here and there. Like if it's not in a call in that moment, there I'll go like weeks without having a good kinky time.
I look at it this way: it's like a party. You know, of someone from the rave scene, someone from the punk rock scene, and the hip hop scene. There's always another party to go to, and sometimes there are some days that have more parties than others. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But we're party people, so that
Mhm.
means there's always going to be a party somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, back to the next question. Oh yeah, platforms. So a lot of people are leaving platforms and stuff like that. Platforms are changing. We have to keep communicating. Kinky people got to keep communication going. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Twitter is now X. You know, we're
Mhm.
not Friendster is not doing anything. Collar Me's gone. I'm just bringing old stuff up. So,
Yeah.
what platforms are you using the most these days, and what do you think is we're going to start using in the future?
The only two platforms that I use often are TikTok and X, and only X is what I use for work. I do have a FetLife, but I feel like FetLife is one of those even flow kind of companies where, anytime we like fetish has a pick me up, we'll end up with a ton of wankers or people who don't even comprehend what's going on. And so I don't like to use a lot of different platforms, but I also don't like the internet at all. I'm kind of in a position where I don't want to spend so much time investing into something
Yeah.
that's not investing back into me.
Yeah, it's a very good, interesting. It's a very good way to look at it. Very astute way. TikTok and kink. He said most of the stuff you get is TikTok. Twitter was a major platform in the kink community. It still is, obviously. If TikTok gets banned, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's hard because TikTok has all the fun kinks that aren't actually kinks. Like I said earlier, I like back and shoulders. So I actually just follow a bunch of workout guys and nobody knows that I'm having the time of my life on this little screen. Yeah.
All right, well, check that
And
out.
so if they get rid of that, then I guess I'm gonna have to go to the actual gym and just stare at men. I don't know.
All right. How can kinky people make money? We're in the community. Everyone's struggling in some way. Even the people who are doing well, it's a hustle
Mm-hmm.
involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can kinky people make money?
Well, they have to charge. And it's going to be kind of awkward to say, like, you got to charge, but there are submissives that can clean a whole house really fast and really well. And if they're comfortable putting on, a French maid outfit, well, now you've got a dime, you've got some money, and you just have to market and charge yourself and charge for your time. I'm a firm believer of if you do anything well, you should charge for it. And I think that's how a good chunk of sex work is as successful as it is, because we're doing something that we do very well already.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I truly appreciate that. I think that as a community, we should educate ourselves, and we need that kind of energy to really push us forward, to
Mhm.
have us grow as a community. So thank you very much. So, what are some ways that kinky people can stick together and help each other out?
I think that it's also reminding ourselves that the kinky experience is a fraction of our lives, and being able to be there for some of those other fractions, whether you see it in 4 fractions or 12 fractions, our life has all these attributes that we have to be attentive to. Like, I'm an attentive daughter who takes care of my dad all day, and or not all day, but like a good chunk of my week is taking care of the house, taking care of means. And so having somebody kinky who is in a similar boat outside of our kink love, then that's going to help to build and self-regulate pretty much the issues at hand.
Definitely. Kink helps kink. And I am so thankful that I'm with kinky people and we have regular lives. We do regular things.
We do. Hmm.
I think balance is very important. Would you agree?
I
Um,
would. I
uh,
would.
okay. So this is the last question. You know, we've been on this path for a long time. We've experienced many things. Um, where do you want your kinky path to take you next?
I'm hoping that my next path is kind of pretty much where I am right now at PEP, which is doing a lot of training and developing. I'm always working on some like self-help books, but they're always more astrology based. And I think making some that are like some kinky based would be really, really enjoyable for me. I just barely have the time ever. So right now I'm working on a user manual for the future PEP ladies. So that way
Nice.
they have a nice little packet of information rather than auditory information, which is how it is now.
Okay. Do you have a oh, first of all, astrology. What sign do you think I am?
Aquarius?
No, I'm a Leo.
Oh,
But
a Leo. Oh, then it's the opposite. Okay.
I'm a Leo.
Mhm.
I don't want to give. I'd ask you a sign, but I don't want to give personal information over the air.
That's
Yeah.
okay. And technically, I'm one of the astrology people who thinks that the baseline astrology is fake. And so real astrology means that you're all of the signs all of the time, and you're never not one of the signs. It's just where or why it's happening.
Before we end up, I have to ask this question for my friend Luna, my dear friend Luna Dark. Um, I've known for decades. She's in astrology. She loves like astrology lover. She loves astrology. She's like, oh, your moon's in the house of blah blah blah, whatever. I don't know.
Mhm.
And and she is kinky as can be.
Mhm.
How do you mix? How can you mix astrology and kink?
Well, they're already mixed because everything that's in your
How do you
12th
mix it?
house is I get to use it. And so your 12th house is the sign behind your rising sign. And whatever's in that, that's your dark fantasy. And then whatever is in your 8th house is your more action-oriented fantasy. And so reading astrology is actually so hard and so complex. I wish it was like a little walk in the park. And so if I'm going to use it to take on a client of some sort, then I'm going to use pretty much all of those little aspects. Like there are some clients or some experiences where it's like, somebody who likes feet a lot, we have to understand that Pisces rules feet. And so if you go and you see like Pisces in the 8th house, that means they want to be jerked off with your feet. Like it gets really interesting fast. And then there's certain like planetary signs that also can attach to how kinky you will or won't be, or how pretty your body parts are.
Okay, so maybe we could help me out with this. I have a
Okay.
book called Your Kink and
Mhm.
Friends, right? And Una Dark is in this book, and her questionnaire is she
Mhm.
has a questionnaire that she gives to DOMs, the male DOMs.
Mhm.
It's a thing, and a lot of it is some astrology based. Her
Okay.
goal is to have 5 cocks at once.
Ooh.
All
Okay.
right, specific, and she has to find specific. That can't just be any of them. They have to be, So, using astrology, how can we make that happen?
Well, you would want to find people with planets in your 8th house. And so, let's say, just for reasons, if you're an Aries rising, that means that Scorpio is in the 8th house. So that means you would want to ask 5 Scorpios if they want to fuck you.
Nice. I'm going to relay that information. She will
You
appreciate
can
it.
give her my number. Yeah.
All right. I, right, want to be healthy, wealthy, and have knowledge of self. Um, but health, wealth, knowledge of self. Karis once said it best. Um,
Mhm.
uh, but I want to succeed and keep my integrity. I want to be a good person. I want to write and create and be around people creating. I want to create a
Mhm.
community. How can I want to create a network where everybody has shows and we could literally do comics, dungeons, dominatrixes, activists,
Mhm.
specifically activists, specifically in the LGBTQIA plus community. Um,
Mhm.
how can I use astrology to make that happen?
Well, that would overlap with your 11th house, and 11th house is
I am
what
a
rules
Leo.
over. Yes, you are a Leo, and 11th house or 11 rules Aquarius. And so Leo and Aquarius, they go hand in hand together because Aquarius is the masses and Leo is the star. And so you being the star of the masses, you would just need a couple of Aquarius folks that want to help you balance it out. And actually, a majority of the civil rights movement was organized by Pisces and Aquarius people.
All right. And shout out to the band Pisces, Motley
Mhm.
Marianne. Great song. Okay. Astrology and kink. Let's see. Tito says, I have no blank in both 8th and 12th houses.
So you don't have nothing in your 8th and 12th house. You have zodiac signs in your 8th and 12th house. And so whatever that sign is, every time the sun or the moon or any of the other planets overlap into that space, now you're having movement. And so the moon laps into those two spaces every 28 days. And so every 28 days, you have to emotionally feel your secret fetishes and your public fetishes. And whether what you do with those emotionally, like people who suffer from like bipolar disorder, they might have like in those moon times manic episodes where they just fuck a bunch of people like crazy. And even though you have nothing there, it doesn't mean that nothing's happening.
Hmm. So astrology wise, who would you say is the kinkiest sign?
So it's Virgo and Scorpio because they were one sign at one point, and then Libra split them up. And because Libra split them up, Scorpio is the male and Virgo is the female. And so those two are the kinkiest signs when they're together. And then, of course, naturally, Leo would be kind of like the star sign that you kind of just want to watch. Capricorn makes the best dominant person ever. Same with like Cancer makes the best submissives. I feel like all of the signs, they get to be kinky in their own way that makes them magical. I don't think that there's any one sign that's like more kinky than the other. Like, you know, a Capricorn that's submissive is probably going to be a damn good submissive just because like that's what they've chosen.
Nice. Thank you. That's a great. I'm gonna lead that question with the interview. Make them watch the whole thing. Great.
Yeah.
Make them wait. The kink
I know,
is
I brought
all
the
about.
astrology stuff up last.
Uh, Nina Rose, thank you so much. Thank you. I would love to have you back again. We could do a whole show just in astrology. I would love
We
to have
really could.
Nina
Okay.
and you together. That would be
Mm-hmm.
great. That would be good. Are you down for that? You want to do something like that?
Yes, I would love to do something
It-
like that.
that would be wonderful. Yeah. See, we make plans. This is what the
Mhm.
kink community is all about. This is what fantasy is all
Exactly.
about. This is what
Mm-hmm.
talking is all about. And Nina Rose, you
Mm-hmm.
can talk. Wonderful.
Yes.
So it's great. I love talking with you. So wonderful. You're wonderful for the kink community. How can people talk with you? Please promote yourself
Well,
everywhere you want to promote. Everything you want to promote. Go.
I am available at Pep Love or Pep Connections, pretty much Monday through Friday, afternoons especially. Sometimes I'm available in the mornings. Being that I'm the executive liaison, I'm doing a lot of background stuff. And so you could always just text me. My phone number is listed on Pep Love, and that's pretty much the best place to find me. You can find me on X. The name is Sandia Dime. And technically, I made an Instagram under Executive Liaison in case anybody wants to know what's going on with PEP in general.
Wonderful. And please subscribe to Spotify. Subscribe to Spotify. Subscribe to YouTube, but Spotify. This goes off. If you're not, you have to see this live, and then I put it on Spotify, and then eventually I write it up and I make it all nice. But if you really want to see everything, watch live. Subscribe to this. Watch live and subscribe to Spotify. Also, Nico Noir is having some issues with Domcom. Please reach out to her. The Nico Noir is a wonderful, wonderful dominatrix, and I hope that gets cleared up very much. The kink helps kink. Remember, everybody. Also, follow me on Twitter. Buy my books. I have books. I have 3 books. I have Your Kinky Friends. I have The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself, and I have Chip Black Nail Polish. Also, get 15% off the Vice. Anything Locked in Lust. YKF. Code YKF. What else? What else? Just it's getting late, my friends. My Dom is calling me. Remember the cardinal rule, everybody. Be cool, be kind, keep an open mind. Take care.